Mid-lengths are taking the surfing world by storm, and they should be. With the right one, you can extract so much more from your surfing in loads of different conditions, and that's why I'm a massive fan. Today I want to give you some lessons on how to ride them. I've been riding them a ton over the last few years as we've been refining and now releasing my signature shape under my surfboard label KaleBrockDesigns, and I've also got dozens of stories of students transitioning from their shorter boards onto the KBD mid-lengths too. I wanted to deliver a lot of this information in a narrative format, so I enlisted two surfers to transition from shortboard shapes onto their mid-lengths and document that journey so that you guys could follow along. All right, let's go. First off on this journey, I'm heading to Western Australia. I've enlisted my brother as our first test subject. How long have you been an intermediate surfer? And as a control, we're going for a shortboard sesh first. The waves are not quite like we expected, but there's still a few. We might go search somewhere else. It's always tricky when it's a bit crowded and we just got the shortboards, so see how we go. There's a particular demographic of surfers, especially in small waves, who tend to look a little bit busy when they are riding a wave. We might call this excessive movement. And often I think this is a result of a feeling of a lack of speed on a wave. I observe this a lot in Ryan's surfing, and unfortunately thus far he's shown significant reluctance to get on a mid-length in these sort of conditions. He'd rather just grovel on a shorty. Our big thing with Dad was we wanted to create moments where he's got more speed and angle going up the wave. Okay, so that's obviously going to come from how efficient his bottom turn is. We want him to go higher on the wave and start his turns more vertical so that he's got a little bit more time. He's got lip to push against so he doesn't slide out there, because sliding out just means lack of control. In a wave like this, for example, we want to see if we can visually make things look less busy. See, this turn itself was pretty nice, but we want to try and slow that down a little bit, create more flow with the benefit of a bigger board, but not too big. That's going to force you to slow everything down a little bit.
Ooh, he was so close!
I find surfers who look really busy on the wave are essentially just trying too hard. So one of the forms of feedback that I often give in these situations is just surf at 80% intensity. And almost miraculously, it tends to clean up someone's aesthetic performance on a wave. I feel like the mid-lengths almost force you to do that anyway, because they are bigger, because they require a little bit more power to steer and change directions. You have to apply that force in a more gradual way, which smoothens out the surfing visibly. What you see on this wave?
I see a 93 kilo man trying to surf a 1 footer, which is always challenging.
And if we can change how this looks with a more appropriate surfboard, then we're winning, without sacrificing good manoeuvrability. So we've gone with a 6.5 20, which I think I would have preferred to see Ryan on a 6.6. We'll have to see how the 6.5 goes. I reckon it's going to be a surprising result, surprisingly good result. No pressure, we'll see. I'm going for the 6.6 thruster today with the MR 2+1 set. To be honest, I actually would prefer to see Ryan rocking some upright 20s in that board, but we got some relatively powerful waves today, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Heaps of fun. And that was a bigger day, I suppose, that I would always just take out a normal shortboard. I would look at like taking a 20 or something else out. And my first couple of waves, I had the best time. Like I was riding through like the bumpy sections even, and when I found that smooth part, I could really just like jam a turn in there while it was smooth. And I honestly felt like I was surfing on a shortboard, but I was chipping into these waves like well earlier than I was where I would have on a shortboard. And I was even catching ones that I just no chance I would have caught on a shortboard. So I had an awesome time, honestly. I loved it.
I mean, I was super stoked with that result already, but I feel like the conditions weren't ideal. I feel like the mid-length really shines in clean conditions, so I managed to encourage Ryan to go to a spot that he probably wouldn't normally go to because ostensibly not really a shortboard wave, just so that we could have a look at how the mid-lengths went on the backhand and in clean conditions. I'm aware that some people feel like twins or mids or both don't really go on the backhand, so I wanted to make this point and give Ryan, who feels that way, a couple little tricks just to make the experience a little bit easier. So you know how you mentioned on the backside you were struggling to control the board off the bottom?
Yeah, on the 20. And I've always had that. When I surf on my little 20, I always sort of battled on my backhand to come off the bottom and get to the top.
I'm going to give you a small suggestion. Instead of having your foot directly parallel over the surfboard, try and twist it a little bit, the back foot. Twist it so that it's a more inefficient, on purpose, an intentionally inefficient line across the board, across the deck of the board, and that can just shave off a little bit of energy there and add more control into the bottom turn.
Yes, Warden.
I'm just doing a little fin change in the thruster. So I'm quite happy riding the 2+1. A lot of the time I've been running these Mark Richards twin +1 setup in the thruster, but because the surf's a little bit bigger still, I want to see how we go with a regular thruster set. So I've got the new John scimitars, and I'm just going to try those just to see if it makes a massive difference. But this can be a really good way to add a little bit more control in the board, because obviously with this fin being quite small, the centre fin, versus this one here being a lot bigger, it's got a bigger control centre at the bottom, so more to push against, more to steer the board with. Of course, the inverse of that is you may end up sacrificing a little bit of speed and effortlessness, but because we're getting that from the waves today, not a big issue. So cool seeing Ryan lean into the midi in that session. I feel like he was catching so many more waves than he normally would. And you could just see him, there were people hovering on the shoulder, expecting him not to catch waves, but he just had so much extra paddle power and would just put his head down and scratch into him. It was really, really cool. And his surfing, dare I say it, looked really sharp. I was actually really impressed. Look at that smile. Is that the best?
Best ever. You know what the problem was though? I was going so fast. My hat kept flying off.
Another KBD success story.
I was thinking about it while I was out there. When I swap from a shortboard to a longboard, it takes a while to adjust to it. And same deal from like a thruster to a twinny. It took me a little bit of adjustment. But when I jumped from my normal surfboards onto that thing, I didn't have to change anything. It surfed the way I wanted it to surf. I typically hate surfing on my backhand on a twinny, and my other twinny is small. It's like a 5'4", and I literally can't do it. Like, I don't surf on my backhand on that twinny. So I was pretty nervous about going out there on the twinny, surfing like waves like that. But I had so much control. I think the bit of extra length in it and just everything about it was really good. Like, I had an awesome time.
It was really cool to have that extra hold on the bottom with the thruster set, because I found the last couple of days when it was like slopey and a little bit bigger, I couldn't get that last like 30-40 degrees of the bottom turn. Only when it was a bit bigger, there's too much energy pushing you down. You've got to fight it. So with the thruster, I was able to kind of step off the rail a little bit, push out with the legs a little bit more than I could with the 2+1, just because there's more stability there. So then I ended up doing what I felt like were a couple of decent turns.
We should watch
Being
the footage
careful
first.
So that was it, done in the west, but I actually had to go further in the same direction on my next adventure, all the way to the Mentawais, to a new resort called Vaya. So Emily, you'll notice when she's surfing, her board shakes a lot. It sort of quivers along the wave. And I think that's a result of it being so small. And I see this a lot where people get addicted to that loose, zippy, alive feeling under them through a board just being really small. And unfortunately, it doesn't lend itself to really big functional surfing, because you're losing a lot of energy when the board's moving that much.
But I like this.
Yeah. Functionally speaking, it makes it hard to express power. I think tomorrow we try the mid-length.
Okay. Oh, really? I've been ridden like bigger boards, but I've never really liked them. Like, I mean, it's really comfortable to like paddle and like take waves, like get on the waves, but once I'm on the waves, I don't enjoy it as much as like my shorter boards, basically.
I want to see if we can improve the aesthetic there just by getting her on the mid-length, and I want to see if we can broaden Em's stance a little bit. At the moment her feet are too close together, and I think that's creating an inefficient distribution of weight into the surfboard. And I think if we can make that more efficient, if we can optimize that, the surfing is going to look smoother and she's going to feel like she's got more speed and control on a wave. I'll be interested to see how that translates and how that looks tomorrow when we go out for a surf.
Yeah, I see a missing barrel. My specialty. I have really high skills for that.
We have just gotten up, had some brekkie, and I think the conditions look pretty good for a board test today. And we're gonna see if Emily has a better session on the mid-length. I reckon she's gonna be pleasantly surprised with how it surfs. We'll see. You're gonna need all the help you can get paddling today.
Yeah, I know.
Feeling good about the mini? Nervous.
We'll see. We'll see. This is so light. This is crazy. Strange.
First few waves I was thinking, shit, I could see Emily was just out of position, and you can't really put that down to the board, but I could see she was getting frustrated, so I just kind of had to force myself to sit there and wait, knowing that eventually she'd be in the right spot for a couple. All of a sudden I just turned and I saw her swing late on a bomb. She almost knifed straight into the tube. It was almost like she didn't realise that she or the board had the capacity to do that. And I was like, okay, I think I see it switching here. And then from that point forward, it just looked like it was on, and it just looked so smooth.
First waves were like I needed like to kind of find my balance and stuff, and I still put my feet like all together, but I guess that's normal at first. And then yeah, it was crazy like how much more waves I could take compared to with my shortboard. Like especially the waves were not like pushing that much at first. So like even on the smallest one and like the one that I saw I could not go, you were like go go go, and I was like oh okay, and then I was like getting them. So light, that's insane. Like when you carry it, it's like lighter than my shortboard basically. You just see that it's bigger in front of you, but you don't feel it under your feet basically. So it's just like yeah, the advantage of like a big board to just like paddle in the waves, but as well it was like quite easy to turn. I was pretty surprised when I first, when I get used to it, I was pretty surprised.
Foot placement is such an important factor on these bigger boards. You've got to steer a bigger ship, right? So getting a nice wide, efficient placement with your feet just beyond shoulder width is really important in maintaining forward planing efficiency. And then secondly, getting that back foot all the way over the fins, your control center, is going to be the most optimal way to maximize the performance on that board. You can see in the footage, Em's feet are still a little bit close together and they're not far enough back on the board. But what's surprising and really exciting for me is that you can see the board responding still really well. It looks like it's still really easy to turn. So you can imagine once she develops that awareness as to where her feet are and is actually able to get them a little bit wider, a little bit further back, she's going to be able to further optimize the performance, the responsiveness of that board and really push it to some high levels. And I would say potentially even higher levels than her 5.5 twinning. That was mental. I am so exhausted. That was such a sick session, and it looked like somebody had a good surf.
No, that was really bad. It's pretty cool, I have to say. Catching way much more waves, like paddling super easy. As soon as well as there is a nice wall and stuff, like it's really playful. And still can be able to deck dive, which is great news. And yeah, no, like good impression on the board. See, I had good feelings. Now I just want to see like what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yes. I was really happy because I could feel back what I really like about my surfing, which is kind of like more the flow, and I was really afraid that I would lose that with like a bigger board and like 3 fins. Whereas like I could still find what I really like about surfing, which is this flow.
That was pretty impressive to me. That looked like a very clean conversion to a longer board, smoother surfing. That was super cool to see. Super stoked.
I would be like really interested to try the same one with twin fin. You didn't have it here, but I think like it would be really nice. And as well, I want to try it in like bigger waves. I think for it would like, because it paddled like so good on the waves, that I think when it's bigger and like you need to like go quicker and like in advance on the wave, I think it would be like amazing.
I've really loved this experiment, and to document it for you, this is something that I've more informally done with a lot of my students over the last year or two, and it's something that I'm really excited about doing under the KaleBrockDesigns umbrella. I've been working on this for so long, and I really think that we've created the best performance mid-length on the market. I don't say that lightly, and a lot of our students do too. So I invite you to check out some of the reviews that we've been getting over on the website that I've put down in the link below, KaleBrockDesigns.com. We've actually finalized the international shipping logistics, so you can check that out on the website too. So everything else, such as retreats, coaching, all the rest of it, you can check out the link down below too. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I'll chat to you soon.